Here's a harsh outbound truth. Reply rates are plummeting across the industry, and too many sellers are wasting their time with spray and pray messaging that doesn't resonate with prospects. It's leading to radio silence and deflated pipelines. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the solution to this issue that ultimately helped me source and close a $10 million deal at Google Cloud that changed my career, so that you and your sales team can implement the solution yourself to book more meetings, generate more pipeline, and close more revenue. This video is brought to you by ZoomInfo, who will always have a place in my heart because they're the platform that helped me source this deal in the first place. Well, let's dive into story time. Man, I'll never forget that 10 million over 3 deal with OfferUp that I closed during my Google Cloud days that got me promoted to field sales at 26 and really catalyzed my career. And what's crazy is the CTO responded to my email outreach within under an hour. How do you get the CTO of a multi-billion-dollar valuation whale account like that to respond that fast in a sea of sales outreach, especially in today's world where response rates are plummeting? Well, here's the answer. I knew exactly what the prospects who were going to be most profitable for us that we were best positioned to help looked like, and OfferUp matched that ICP. So I stacked ranked them at the top of my priority list when I looked at my book of business. Of course, I knew the right personas to reach out to. I knew the CTO would be the decision maker who could get things done. But beyond targeting the right account and persona, what really moved the needle, what really allowed my message to be extremely precise and hit the prospect at the right time, which led to the quick response, was monitoring for signals or changes going on at the target company that would introduce a need for my solution. I identified 4 signals related to their current state and changes going on at the organization based on my research that allowed me to reach out with a message that hit right on their hot buttons and that was extremely relevant. The first signal was I noticed OfferUp hired a new CTO, a new decision maker who is probably going to want to evaluate their current technology and would be more open to making changes and implementing new technology for the future. The second signal I noticed was the company received a recent funding round. And then when I looked at how they were allocating their funding based on a press release that I read, I identified a few more signals. One, they were going to allocate their funding to global expansion. And 2, they were going to allocate their funding to hiring more engineering headcount. And when I looked at the job postings for those engineers, I noticed they were looking for cloud infrastructure and data expertise. I actually think that might be 5 total signals, but collectively what they told me was OfferUp was growing and they were expanding their infrastructure into new markets and they were hiring people to support it. And they needed to be able to scale reliably, and this might actually be an opportunity for me to wedge myself in there. We had built our proprietary fiber network in a way that was different, that had an impact on a company's ability to scale without outages, and if there were outages or brownouts or issues with the network, that would lead to unhappy customers and lost business. So I was able to identify triggers that would introduce a need for our solution and a reason to reach out and have a conversation to position us as an alternative. And the great news was that those specific signals opened up an opportunity to talk about specific areas where we could make a differentiated impact that our competition couldn't. So my outreach to that CTO led with a congratulations on the new role. I noticed that you're expanding globally into European markets and you're hiring engineers with cloud experience to help build reliable infrastructure. And I rolled that into talking about some of the challenges that are introduced for some of our partners who are expanding globally. And I dropped some social proof and a case study highlighting a company just like them going through similar changes and how we help them scale efficiently and the business impact we made for them. Then I rolled that message into an interest-based call to action to see if it'd be worth a conversation to explore where we could augment their AWS investments, acknowledging that I knew they were on our competition and wanted to position us as another option as an insurance policy for the future. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty of how to write irresistible cold emails is beyond the scope of this video, but if you'd like a free video training, then just comment cold email in the comments below and I'll share some free trainings and some of my latest videos with you. So what really moved the needle to get this CTO at a multi-billion-dollar valuation startup to respond in under an hour, the secret was signal-based prospecting. Now let's talk about what it's going to look like to implement signal-based selling for your specific sales process. First, you want to define your ICP, or ideal client profile. And you might have multiple ICPs depending on your target customer base. You want to define your ICP based on industry vertical. Maybe you're targeting healthcare, retail, or fintech. And you also want to define your ICP by size, employee count, and revenue. You want to focus on the whale prospects who could change your quarter, year, and career, just like that $10 million deal that I closed. And you also want to focus on the dolphin targets. Dolphins are the mid-sized prospects, and maybe there's thousands of them that look like your ideal client that you're well positioned to help and still move the revenue needle. You also want to laser focus on the right personas, the decision makers that can actually decide and move forward on your solution, the influencers, the middle managers that can also help champion your solution to get things done, and the end users who are impacted by your technology that can help you create your case to move up the chain to get deals done. And then you really want to take the time to define the right signals related to the current state of your prospects and the compelling changes going on in their world that introduces a need for your solution. You might have warm intent signals like a prospect downloading a white paper, attending an event like a webinar or in-person event. Maybe they checked out your website and filled out a form. You definitely want to prioritize and pounce on these warm leads quickly. I've seen data that if you can respond to warm leads, inbound leads within minutes, it dramatically increases your conversion rate to conversations and opportunities. Other signals you might look for is company headcount growth, maybe specific department growth, leadership changes, funding rounds, mergers and acquisitions, and maybe specific tech stacks that you know you can complement or actually differentiate against. At your company, you're going to have to look at the data, look at your customer base, and see specific areas or changes that introduce a need for your solution that you impact in a differentiated way. Just like we looked at the data at Google Cloud to see why most of our customers moved from our competitor AWS. Global expansion was one of those reasons they moved to us, because we had a differentiated approach with the way we designed our network that actually had a business impact. And it's your job as an organization to look at your data and look at why your customers move from your competitors and figure out those signals and triggers and make sure to prioritize the accounts that are showing those signals to reach out to them with precision. Now, once you have all your signals identified, you're going to want to stack rank and prioritize these signals, because some might be better leading indicators of a prospect being a good fit for a conversation and having a higher opportunity to convert to meetings and pipeline and revenue. But ultimately, once you've identified your ICP, your personas, and the most important signals you're looking out for, you want to build targeted focus lists that are showing these signals so you can reach out at the right time, knowing they're ready to go, and you're going to be well positioned to set a meeting and convert that to an opportunity. Your signal-based target lists and campaigns are going to be shorter and more focused, and you're going to get a better conversion rate. These lists, these targets, these campaigns should be prioritized. As we highlighted in my OfferUp example, when you reach out to this signal-based target list, you want to lead with those signals and those compelling events in your messaging. And you want to diversify your outreach across channels, reaching out via email, LinkedIn, and the phone. And you can weave these signals and reasons for talking that make your messaging more precise and relevant into all of these channels. Just as you want a diversified, well-balanced investment portfolio, you want to diversify your outbound investments across channels to get the greatest return in terms of meetings, pipeline, and ultimately closed revenue. Remember that my message to the CTO at OfferUp that got a response in under an hour stacked 4 to 5 compelling signals that ultimately made my messaging irresistible. So the more signals you can identify and stack when reaching out to a specific prospect, the better. Now, keep in mind as you build your focused signal-based target account list and you prioritize this list, it does not replace your overall outbound efforts. You want to make sure that you continue to prospect to whale and dolphin accounts that move the revenue needle, regardless of if they have signals, because you know they're going to be profitable targets and it's just a matter of timing. So you want to consistently hit these accounts month over month for the whole year with personalized, relevant, and value-driven messaging. And as you do that, you want to continually monitor these accounts for compelling signals that might pop up that you can pounce on to hit those prospects with precise messaging at the right time when they're more likely to meet with you and ultimately convert to revenue. So at this point, I think you get the solution to dramatically increasing your reply rates and conversion rates to meetings, pipeline, and revenue. It's signal-based prospecting, but we've got one big problem. Unfortunately, many sales organizations with all the potential in the world aren't keeping up with their signals, and they're leaving money on the table because their data and those signals are locked away in disparate systems across their CRM, marketing, and engagement platforms. They're just all over the place. Most reps are struggling with fragmented data. They're Frankensteining a ton of tools together, and they're constantly hopping between tabs, which is killing their productivity. Due to a lack of a centralized place to manage all the data that reps need to be successful, 85% of them are resorting to managing their entire territory and their book of business through spreadsheets. There's definitely a better solution to managing your territory and your book of business and the signals that are going on with your prospects that introduce a compelling reason to talk than spreadsheets. And that solution is ZoomInfo Copilot Workspace. As I mentioned, I owe my entire outbound career to ZoomInfo. I closed monster deals at Oracle, Google Cloud, and at a late-stage managed services company, using the platform to get contact information and additional context to reach out to prospects with precision and open opportunities and close deals. It's really cool to see how ZoomInfo has been evolving these days ever since I closed that $10 million deal back when I was at Google. They're not just a contact database anymore. Now they're more like an all-in-one command center for smarter go-to-market intelligence and execution. One place where you can manage real-time signals and create and launch go-to-market campaigns and sequences in response to those signals to convert more pipeline. It helps you stay on top of your buyers when they're ready and not miss out on the opportunity to reach out to the right person at the right time. It's not about having more data, it's about doing more with your data and being able to execute on it. You can have all the data in the world, but if you can't execute on it, that's the gap that most companies are facing. Here's the old way of doing outbound. Build a target list, find the right contacts, and enroll them into a sequence in a sales engagement platform, and watch your reply rates be abysmal and plummet. Here's the new and better way to do outbound. Using a go-to-market intelligence platform like ZoomInfo to combine multiple signals and use AI to enrich and score the data and then generate personalized outreach campaigns and actually trigger action for you. Whether it's an inbound signal or an outbound signal, ZoomInfo helps you automatically trigger workflows like enriching a visitor, scoring a lead, or assigning the lead to a rep internally. It can also generate tailored, relevant cold email drafts that then are sent to reps to review before sending, or maybe it'll notify a rep to add a prospect on LinkedIn. And as an organization, you might choose to save those drafts and review them before adding them to your sequences, or maybe using your own prompting and engineering to fine-tune that outreach. When all the data is in one place, the possibilities for outbound are endless. But let me show you a quick peek under the hood to see the types of signals it's showing me and how it's building some great cold email outreach that I can ultimately build on and work with to hit the right prospects at the right time with the right message. Here we are in ZoomInfo Copilot Workspace's admin portal, and it's time to configure our setup, starting with targeting. You can sync your CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce, or you can manually upload target accounts, which is what I did. I found some great accounts in Austin, which is a good market for me, that fit my ICP, and I uploaded a CSV. And now I can also add in intent. I can tune the topics or areas that my prospects are searching that show high intent, that can lead to maybe an opportunity to have a more meaningful conversation. Let's go back to targeting, by the way. I forgot to mention that you can identify buyer groups like decision makers, and I'm focused on a seller specific audience. So I've got CRO, sales executive, business development executive in there. So I'm just feeding ZoomInfo what it needs to recommend the right targets and create the best experience for me to be precise with my outreach. Got white space here where you can configure settings for ZoomInfo to recommend relevant prospects that fit your ICP. So that's pretty awesome. Now, in terms of offerings, you need to feed ZoomInfo your offerings, your revenue streams, your products. I've got speaking, tech sales accelerator, career coaching, training and consulting. And you can see I've got an offer name, pain points, value proposition. You give ZoomInfo that info, you feed the beast, and it can make good recommendations and even spit out really tailored messaging based on matching your offerings and your pain points that you solve with compelling events and signals and needs that prospects have. Now, when it comes to intelligence, it is cool that you can tune and set up an account fit score to predict how well an account matches your ideal profile. It's good stuff. You'd add in your domains. I've got my different websites for my offers, and that's going to help ZoomInfo Copilot give you signals based on who's engaging with your site and showing intent on your website, which is really good. And in terms of alerts, you can choose how you want to receive your alerts. In my case, I chose I want to receive alerts via email. You can also receive alerts in an app or via Slack, Microsoft Teams. It depends on your preferences. Now, it's pretty cool that you can set up workflows that trigger automatic action when it comes to intent that your prospects are searching. When ZoomInfo recognizes that buyer intent, it can trigger a notification to the right user, the right seller at your organization, and it can enroll the prospect in a campaign. When a prospect visits your website, it can do the same thing. It can trigger a notification to the right seller and kick off a campaign. The same thing with new funding, new decision makers, and you can really set up the workflows you want to trigger automatic action from your sellers. So now let's go to the sales tab here. This is where the magic happens, where Copilot brings everything together. I've got target accounts, 3 of them, with signals, and one of them is Marcaz. If I'm saying that right, I'm not sure, but apparently they had a product launch and a partnership with ZoomInfo. Wow, what do you know? What a coincidence. That's a great reason for me to reach out. Now, if I hit ask, I can work with Copilot's AI chat, and actually I had a pretty good conversation with Copilot. I asked Copilot, what are the key decision makers, or who are they? And it called out the C-suite leadership, including the CEO, the CFO, and the EVP in Europe, also the chief technology officer. Now, I asked who's the best sales leader, and Copilot found out that, hey, there isn't a sales leader right now, which is pretty crazy. And so I said, hey, can you write an email to the CEO congratulating them on the ZoomInfo partnership and offering my sales training services? And ZoomInfo Copilot spit out a pretty good tailored email to Marcaz's CEO with a good subject line and recognizing the compelling event at the start of the email, and then tailoring the value we could offer based on the growth that would be expected as a result of the partnership. And it was actually pretty good. Now, I did ask ZoomInfo to shorten the email. It was a little bit wordy. And ZoomInfo Copilot helped me out and wrote something shorter. And now I can copy paste that and reach out or take that with me and even pull that messaging into my call script. So pretty cool stuff. I'm loving the platform, and I'm excited to continue to test out and learn more about how I can use it to be successful and help you guys understand that too. Now, this is the good stuff that works in Outbound today that's going to help you land that next multi-million-dollar deal that can change your quarter, your year, and your whole entire career. So if you want to learn more about ZoomInfo Copilot Workspace, go to zoominfo.com/copilot or book time with me at my Calendly link linked in the description of this video to talk about your go-to-market strategy. And if you're a seller who wants to upskill or a sales leader who wants to upskill your team when it comes to using information that you're going to get from ZoomInfo and then ultimately executing on cold calls, handling objections, and having better discovery conversations, then also consider booking time with me for a free strategy session, because I'm coaching SDRs and account executives at ZoomInfo, at Databricks, at Google, and at startups all across the industry to help them produce better results when they're using the best technology platforms like ZoomInfo. Thanks for checking out this video and being a part of this growing tech sales community. To your success in tech sales and in life, happy selling and happy living, and we'll see you in the next one.